Welcome to Joe's Astrology. This is the birth chart for the genesis of YouTube, and I just took the date that that I found on the internet that YouTube was supposedly established, and I took there's no time obviously, so I just did 7 a.m. approximately when the sun comes up, and I'm going to use that rising because also would I think it's safe to use this day as well because it's very clear that this is a birth chart for YouTube, and I'm going to show you why here. So the first thing, even without the time, I want to uh, highlight here is, and what I've been highlighting by doing charts of YouTubers, there's always a lot of Aquarius. And here, YouTube, beginning of YouTube, there's Venus, Neptune, Sun, Mercury, all in Aquarius. And it's in the 12th, we could say it's in the 12th house. So very dreamlike, very spacey, out there. It doesn't really exist in nature, in reality. So kind of like this combination of Pisces and Aquarius, or Neptune and Uranus. So keep that in mind, because as I move along here, we see that Pisces is rising and Uranus is on the rising there. So we see have more combination of Neptune and Uranus is in Pisces, the sign is ruled by Neptune. And we can look here to Neptune. Where's Neptune? Well, it's conjunct the Sun, and it's conjunct Venus, and it's conjunct Mercury. The other thing, the person that recommended this, and by the way, thanks for recommending this, she mentioned that YouTube has made a lot of millionaires. So it'd be interesting to look at its chart, and these planets here, the Sun and Mercury, are in the Libra decan that is ruled by Venus, planet of money, although we think of Taurus as being money. But the moon here is in the sign of Taurus, the sign that we think of as money, resources. And it's making a quintile to that Sun and Mercury. Quintile being like a talent or a creative aspect, and YouTube is definitely a creative venture. Just a little side note here, the Sun is on my IC today, and here I'm doing a chart not on purpose that has the moon directly on my IC. So back to this idea of money and YouTube. Well, Jupiter is on the south node, so where it's coming from, we have this benefic planet, Jupiter, the most benefic planet, and it's in the Aquarius decan, and it's near moving away from the south node, but since it's retrograde, it's moving with the south node. So it's coming from a place of, and thinking in Libra, it's coming from a place of these benefits, but it's kind of, you think of Libra, it's has to do with relationships, networking, spreading money around. It's helped a lot of people. As she said, it's helped a lot of people become millionaires that if it wasn't for YouTube, they would not have nearly as much money as they have, more likely than not. So YouTube is definitely here. We see the spreader of good fortune. And as I said, the idea of networking being social, it's a social site, so it's coming from a social place. You can also think of this Aquarius here as being very social. So this is a very social chart. The ruler of that south node is Venus, and it's conjunct Neptune. So we see more Pisces, more Neptune involved. And the ruler with Venus being in Aquarius, with Neptune. Neptune is considered the cosmic Santa Claus. So it's a giver. It can be a giver. It can be a philanthropist. So YouTube has definitely done that. It's definitely considered to many people a cosmic Santa Claus. It's like make a couple videos or make some videos, making videos, and I'm getting crazy rich. I mean, it's very out there. And you can see Venus is in the sign of Gemini and or the decan of Gemini. And you think of Venus because I have Venus in this almost the same spot, 13 degrees, and I have a lot of Capricorn, so it's kind of tempered. But you think of these people that have Gemini, Venus in Gemini, lots of Gemini. YouTube is perfect for them because they can be all over the place and still do very well. They don't need that consistency that you see in a normal workplace where you got to show up every day, you got to be there at the same time every day. And we also see the North Node in Aries, and that ruler is Mars. We come back here to Mars, like so where YouTube is headed. It's an aggressive placement, an assertive placement, a leader, someone who is a forerunner in future. You could say future technology, or you could say a forerunner in where the economics of this planet is going to go, with it being in the second house, and the South Node is in the eighth house of other people's money. So where it's coming from, and you could think of, that's what YouTube is really when it comes to money. That's what it's based on. It's based on grabbing money, essentially grabbing money from other people. That's what people do when they get on there. You have the ad campaigns, the marketing, and all that. You're grabbing money from other people, and most people are successful at it because they just need to get a little bit from each person, and because there's so many people, just a couple dollars here and there can make them very rich. But that North Node ruled by Mars in Capricorn in the 11th of networking, again, friendships, goals and aspirations, very social house, and it's in Capricorn. So I'm going to come back to that. But that Mars is also sextiling the Uranus that I spoke about. So more aspects here to Uranus. Mars is in that Aquarius house. It's trining the moon in the money house. So I didn't mention that. This is the moon is in the second house where it likes to be. It's in Taurus, so it's like double emphasized there. But the Pluto is making a trine to that North Node. And Pluto makes big sweeping changes. And here we have Pluto in the 10th of status, and Pluto's the planet of power, and this is a power company. The company is very powerful. From a deep level, it's going to be hard to break this company down. It's got that kind of power. And when Pluto transited this, I believe this Mars, is when YouTube really started to take off. I think it's like 2010 where we first seen the first jump. And then now the next transit Pluto is going to make is going to be Venus in Aquarius. And I think when Pluto goes through that Aquarius, you're going to see another jump. And then obviously Uranus and Pisces. And then when it hits this North Node, that's when it's going to see its peak. And the reason why I mention that is not just because of these transits. If you think about when Pluto hits that North Node, my generation, I'm 41 years old. When Pluto hits, I'm just guessing, approximating, when Pluto hits that North Node, I'll be in my 80s. So everyone who's still watching television, and there's a lot of people that still watch television, particularly older people, they're going to be gone. My generation still watches television, so they'll still be around. But pretty much you're going to see that's the point when they start really dying off, and the people that are being born right now will be, 40 years old then? I mean, these people are not going to be watching television at all. I'm talking about the people that are born today. not 20 years ago. They're still watching television. Even though it's better, you can see that's why you see that uptick here, why you're going to see that uptick when Pluto hits Aquarius. But when we get here, uh, we're going to start, we're really seeing the people that are born now hit their 40s. And there's no getting older and watching television because they're old. They grew up without television. They grew up with the internet. They're on their phones, etc. You could even say this moon as well could be even more. So, assuming YouTube's just continuously going to get better, you can see the transition here with Pluto just really blowing it up. And I think that there'll be good transits because of this trine, and because Pluto's in the 10th. There's really no sign here of YouTube falling off. We can look at the Saturn here. It's in the 5th of, so Saturn would be a planet of testing and karma and a tougher planet for a chart. It's in the 5th in Pisces decan of Cancer. So it's in the 5th of self-expression, creativity. It's also making a square to this Jupiter, which an aspect to Jupiter from Saturn is usually pretty good. And squaring the nodes, really coming back to this second house. So if there was going to be any trouble, it's really how does YouTube solidify itself as an economic powerhouse? That's what the life of YouTube comes down to. How does it solidify itself as an economic powerhouse? So I'll leave it there with that question. I hope you enjoy this reading for YouTube, and check out my Patreon. I'll link it down in the description. And the other playlists I have of YouTubers. My Patreon is fairly new, but I'm going to do in-depth readings of all the readings I've done, where they're more than an hour long, plus many other astrology benefits about learning astrology, etc. So check that out, and I hope you enjoy this reading for YouTube.